cloudy day where it looks like it could rain any second. Fortunately, it's not at the moment anyways. And what did I read today? How about this one? Fears about police using drones, where at first they say we're only going to use it, for example, in extreme cases, but it just seems like in some areas they're using it for virtually everything, and that's causing concerns. How about this one? This one says, Ottawa police flying drones at CityFolk. Blues Fest worry surveillance experts. As it says here, Tara Shannon was watching pop country star Maren Morris perform at CityFolk a couple of weeks ago when something overhead caught her eye. It was a drone, apparently monitoring the crowd gathered in front of the festival's main stage on the Great Lawn at Lansdowne Park. The sight of the linking device sharing airspace with the almost full moon gave her pause on the warm, late summer night. Saying, quote, I remember noticing it and thinking, this feels weird, says Shannon, who's the recently appointed executive director of Ottawa Festivals, a not-for-profit networking organization that represents festivals, fairs, and other special events in Ottawa-Gatineau. It felt very Hunger Game-ish or Big Brother-ish. It changed how I was enjoying this show. Her instincts were not far off of the mark. The drone was part of the fleet of remotely piloted aircraft systems belonging to the Ottawa Police Service, and CityFolk was not the only music festival they flew over this summer. It's a practice that raises concerns about privacy, transparency, police power, and what one Canada's top drone privacy expert refers to as, quote, mission creep. Drones were acquired by the Ottawa Police 6 years ago to assist in investigative work such as mapping traffic accidents or crime scenes or searching for missing persons. So there's kind of, I guess, the controversy in this regards where people are saying that's what it usually starts as, but then eventually they'll be using it for other things like this, just monitoring things like festivals and so forth. It says when law enforcement in Canada first started using drones to capture footage of the ground below, there was always a reaction of, oh, don't worry, we're only going to use it for search and rescue, or we're only going to use it in a serious emergency. It doesn't sound like there was a serious emergency happening at CityFolk, and it obviously isn't a search and rescue. It's just information gathering. And there's a lot of back and forth in terms of one side saying it's justified, the other saying it's not. And it says police also did not answer multiple requests for comment on the use of facial recognition technology, nor did they respond to questions about the storage of data and images captured by drones. Regardless, if public safety is the main reason for police monitoring music festivals from the air, festival organizers should be involved in the decision and be able to let their audiences know in advance, Shannon says, saying, quote, there is a desire on the part of our members for more collaborative effort to determine risk assessment and what's necessary for public safety. But that's true in everything, correct? Oh, it's just starting off just this, don't worry, eventually it expands into something else, just like, for example, a recreational flyer. Oh, don't worry, it's a little test right now, it's only a couple of bucks, and then eventually it turns into something even more. Okay, now you're banned from completely flying here and there. It just never ends, huh? So how about in this case? Would you say this is just the way it's going to be, or would you push back? In terms of non-officials flying drones, usually when it's regular individuals, people make a really big deal about it. How about this one actually? Apparently this guy got fined. This one says, man fined $5,000 for flying drone near Boston Marathon finish line and has it confiscated. I would imagine in this place in particular, they're a little bit more weary about marathons and security. It says a Boston man was arraigned on Monday in federal court for allegedly flying a drone near the finish line of the 2024 Boston Marathon. Alan Nip, 30, was charged with unlawfully flying a drone in restricted national defense airspace, according to the Massachusetts U.S. Attorney's Office. Under a deferred prosecution agreement, he agreed to pay a $5,000 criminal fine and give his drone, valued at approximately $4,000, to authorities. Holy smokes, what was the guy flying? It wasn't like a mini drone by the sounds of it with that price anyways. It says Nip was flying the drone within a few blocks of the finish line approximately 20 minutes before the professional men in the wheelchair division were finishing the race, according to court filings. Federal law enforcement intercepted the drone as it was flying and landed it in a secure location in Back Bay. Oh, it sounds like they used one of those like drone guns, for example. It says after bomb technicians evaluated the device, law enforcement went to Nip's apartment on West Springfield Street in Boston, officials said, where he allegedly told officers he flew the drone that morning. The controller of the drone allegedly had warnings that Nip was flying it in a restricted zone, and the Federal Aviation Administration has sent out notices about restrictions to flying any type of aircraft near the start and finish lines of the marathon without a permit, authorities says. So I guess in that regards, the guy had plenty of warning per se, what they claim anyways, to not fly it, and he did it anyways. But at the same time, I guess it shows again, when it's a recreational flyer, for example, flying this stuff, people take it really seriously in that regards too. And this was a really fascinating read. Apparently a news organization here published deceptive video, I guess you could say, and they had to post this at first. It was by CTV National News, and from what I gather, it dealt with politics, and you know what happens when things deal with politics. It says, last night in a report on this broadcast, we presented a comment by the official opposition leader, Pierre Poilievre, that was taken out of context. It left viewers with the impression the Conservative non-confidence motion was to defeat the Liberals' dental care program. In fact, the Conservatives have made it clear the motion is based on a long list of issues with the Liberal government, including the carbon tax. A misunderstanding during the editing process resulted in this misrepresentation. We unreservedly apologize to Mr. Poilievre and the Conservative Party Canada. We regret this report went to air in the manner it did. So when trying to figure out what exactly was going on, this person actually posted a really good breakdown. Like here it says, not only is Pierre Poilievre's quote clearly about the carbon tax cut from CTV's broadcast, CTV News bizarrely manipulated it. Real quote from the original clip, it says, that's why it's time to put forward a motion for a carbon tax election.
That's why it's time to put forward a motion for a carbon tax election.
CTV fabrication, that's why we need to put forward a motion.
That's why we need to put forward a motion.
So then you can see the second clip, what it seems like happened was they took the longer video and they cut it down to make it sound like he said a sentence that he didn't actually say, in which afterwards they proceeded to talk about a completely different topic. So it's complete misrepresentation. And I was trying to listen to it where at first I didn't actually notice it. I wouldn't have noticed it actually unless someone brought it up like here, but you can clearly hear the jump cut on where the edit was.
That's why we need to put forward a motion.
Yeah, so I was thinking, wow, that's crazy. I don't see how you can defend that, saying that was just, for example, a misunderstanding during the editing process. To me, that looked like it was clearly somebody was given an assignment, or they had the mindset of, we need to find a guy saying this quote in order to, I guess, promote the angle of this story that we're trying to accomplish. That's the only real explanation I can think of, honestly. That wasn't an error like, oops, I accidentally took the wrong clip in general and placed it in this segment. You have to actually sit there, edit it to make it like that. Wow. Makes you wonder what would happen in this case. I know, again, politics are one of those evil things that divide everyone, in my opinion anyways, but this is ridiculous. I know people are saying things like they're concerned about AI generated voices. How about this? I don't know what's gonna happen here. What would you think? All right, see you guys later.